I'm with Julian Biggins, Joint CEO of MA Financial. First of all, Julian, thank you very much for participating in the Inside Network's Alternatives Symposium.
All right, great. Thanks for having me here, James.
It's a great pleasure. Julian, your presentation at the Alternatives Symposium highlighted that real estate valuations lag reality. How do you ensure that your firm is capitalising on opportunities at the right moment rather than being caught in a cycle of mispriced assets?
Yeah, I think it's about doing your proper due diligence. So, we've got a team of 10 people sitting in alternative real estate alone. There's probably 150 people sitting across real estate. And when you operate in the private markets, you get access to every bit of information. So you're doing a deep dive into the fundamentals, the cash flow, legalities, regulatory risk, and you can really understand the asset very well. And you price it on fundamentals. You don't price it on historic valuations.
With liquidity currently priced at a premium and investor fear affecting markets, how do you manage liquidity risk while still capturing really attractive opportunities in alternative real estate?
I think the flight to liquidity, if I can say that, has really created the opportunity. So it's really put a vacuum in the availability of capital. So there's scarcity of capital for real estate at the moment, and that's what's creating the opportunity. When I think about illiquidity, the investors in real estate, it is an illiquid asset. There are quite large transaction costs in terms of the stamp duty or friction costs when you buy real estate. So you have to have a longer term view and you have to be able to withstand 5, 7, maybe even 10 years when you're investing in real estate.
You highlighted growing institutional interest in alternative sectors of alternatives like marinas, self-storage and healthcare. So what are the really key risks investors should be aware of when they're moving into these niche, maybe less mature and certainly less institutionalised markets?
Yeah, I think it's about having a specialisation. So if you think about whether it's childcare, which was a nascent sector probably 15 years ago, we think about marinas, manufactured homes. What you're trying to do as a manager of assets is trying to take an asset from being maybe a cottage industry to being an institutional quality industry. And we see on that journey the cap rates that you may be able to acquire assets on really tighten quite a lot, and that supports a lot of return for our investors. But you really need to be specialised in that journey.
You differentiate between opportunistic and strategic investments. Can you provide examples of where you're currently seeing the best opportunities for distressed or undervalued assets? Yeah,
sure, James. I think, when you think about the Australian market, we very rarely see distress. What I talk about is you see motivated vendors who may have cash requirements elsewhere, and they're really motivated to sell at today's terms and not historic terms. So for us, it's finding these opportunities. You want to broaden your lens as wide as possible to look at as many assets as possible and really look for those motivated vendors that are willing to accept today's pricing.
Julian, we're closing this event with a workshop that explores the institutional approach to alternatives. And a lot of people in the wealth market obviously look at what's gone on. The institutions were earlier adopters. And so what guidance would you have for advisors who are seeking to replicate the approach and the allocations to alternatives in that private wealth space that they've seen in the large, let's say in the Australian context, the large super funds?
Yeah, and things like the Future Fund has a large allocation to alternatives. I think the secret sauce or the holy grail here is having the ability to withstand illiquidity. So all of these large funds, they have large duration assets long duration assets and liabilities, and therefore they can take the illiquidity risk. And when you go down that path into alternatives, you're really able to be a lot more in-depth in detail and due diligence to underwrite asset thematics and be more active in managing assets as well to generate that outcome.
Julian Biggins, MA Financial, thanks for your presentation and thanks very much for your time today.
Many thanks, James.
Thank you.